Good afternoon. So today morning we have discussed about agencies that is used in crime detection. So like we have discussed about police, we discussed about CID, then we discussed about CBI. Okay, we were done with CBI also. Then yeah, we were dealing with Intelligence Bureau. That's when we lost the power, right? Okay. So we're dealing with Intelligence Bureau. So it is considered one of the oldest intelligence bureaus in the entire world. Okay. It's mainly responsible for India's internal securities. It technically falls, I've told you all this, it technically falls under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, but the director is a part of Joint Intelligence Committee. That means he reports directly to the Prime Minister of India. Yes, this is where we lost the power, I guess. Okay. So, IB's trace, you don't know at what time IB was formed, okay, because British used to use this intelligence, because British knew that there was some problem with Indians, like they were revolting against British. So they used some intelligence inside India, they have their own spies, they had their own spies and they were collecting intelligence. Like that, we don't know exact date when they started it. So, also in 1857 there was Sepoy Mutiny. That means the first war of independence, Sepoy Mutiny. So that made British very, like, they were little bit afraid because Sepoy Mutiny happened and they knew that people were revolting against British people. So they needed to have this organization to get the intelligence, to find out who was creating these revolts and who were the main persons, who were all these heads, who were making all these revolts against British. So they wanted to know that. So that is why they founded a central special branch. IB was named the Central Special Branch and they found it on December 23, 1887. Okay, December 23, 1887. It was named as Central Special Branch. Okay, in December 23, 1887. So the Central Special Branch was established with the intention of collecting timely information on political, economic and social conditions of India. Okay, and monitoring the sentiments. That just means that what the main use was? It was collecting intelligence. Okay, it was collecting intelligence on economic things, social things, all those what are things happening in the states. British couldn't go to every state and check, right? Or they also had some peoples as the head. That's all. But what people were thinking, all those their feelings about the British rule, all those things they need to collect the intelligence for that. Okay, so they used Central Special Branch for that. Okay. Acting on the recommendations of Police Commission 1903 and 1902, Central Special Branch was restricted and renamed as Central Criminal Intelligence Department. So, in 1902, okay, it was renamed again. We have seen CBI, right? Renaming of CBI. Just like that, in 1902, our Central Special Branch was renamed into Central Criminal Intelligence Department. Central Criminal Intelligence Department. The date was 1902. Okay. It was under the recommendation of Police Commission. Police Commission was there, they recommended that you should change the name. So they changed the name from Central Special Branch to Central Criminal Intelligence Department. Okay, the department was responsible for internal security affairs in addition to criminal activities. So internal security, Intelligence Bureau, I told you earlier, Intelligence Bureau is mainly for the internal security affairs. Okay. Yes. So national security activities became the central focus of the new organization. Okay, Central Intelligence Department. Like they used to focus on national security issues. Okay, what all were the threats internally? All the threats internally, they used to focus mainly on that. All the internal threats. Okay, and anyone if mutiny against British, all those things they had to focus. They were focusing all on those. So that was their main focus in 1918. Then in 1920, it got its real name. In 1920 only they changed its name to Intelligence Bureau. That is still going now. Okay, 1920 only they changed its name to Intelligence Bureau. After India's independence in 1947, IB's field units subsequently evolved into state IB units that are today known as subsidiary intelligence bureaus. So IB has a central unit. Okay, central unit is mainly in Delhi only. So it also has state subsidiary units. Okay. It has so many states units. So all the states they have their own units. So in 19 those were known as IB field units. Okay, before our independence. So after independence, those field units were changed into subsidiary intelligence bureau. Subsidiary intelligence bureau. For example, if you take Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh will be having a subsidiary intelligence bureau. Okay, Maharashtra will be having a subsidiary intelligence bureau. All this Kerala will be having one. Andhra Pradesh will be having one. Telangana will be having one. Like states will have their own subsidiary intelligence bureau that will report to the main center, that is intelligence bureau. Okay. So here, its name was changed to Intelligence Bureau in 1920. Yes. However, after the failure in the war against China 1962, India created an external intelligence agency, the Research and Analysis Wing, in 1968. So, IB was the only intelligence bureau India had. Okay, IB was mainly focusing itself on the internal threats of India. Fine. They were not too much focusing on outside threat, outside intelligence. Okay, they were like they were the only organization, so they couldn't collect all the information, internal intelligence and outside intelligence. They couldn't collect everything together. Okay, and they failed when China attacked India. Okay, they couldn't gather that much intelligence that China was going to attack India. Okay, they couldn't gather the information. They couldn't get the clear information. So that is one big failure, and we lost the war also to China. So that was in 1962, after the failure in the war against China. We lost the war in 1962 against China. Okay, we didn't have that much intelligence about what all things are happening. So at that time, India knew that not only IB won't be enough for all this external and internal intelligence. We need some separate wing. Okay, that is when they formed RAW. Okay, RAW is known as Research and Analysis Wing. Everybody would have heard about RAW. We will get to RAW in the next session. Okay. So, up until 1968, IB was responsible for internal as well as external intelligence gathering. Okay. So, RAW was formed in 1968. Till 1968, India only had intelligence bureau. Only intelligence bureau used to take care of internal security, internal intelligence and external intelligence. So, after 1968, external intelligence was given to RAW. Internal problems or internal intelligence gathering was given to IB. Yes. Now we come to our external intelligence agency. People would have heard lots about RAW, right? In movies also you would have heard about RAW. Okay. RAW stands for Research and Analysis Wing. Research and Analysis Wing. Okay. It's a country's premier intelligence agency. Okay. We must be proud of our RAW. Thing is, you won't get any details about RAW, you won't know about what recruitments are in RAW, you will get to know nothing. It's just like a spy department. Okay, they have their people in different countries, they have their agents in different countries, all gathering intelligence. Okay, all gathering intelligence and sending it to the main branch, and we will know, like if China is attacking, for example, China is planning a war, we have our agents in China also. Okay, they may be like common people in China, they may be somebody who is from China. Okay, they may be some people who are in some reputed reputed position in government, they may be that people. All these agents, RAW has so many agents. Okay, RAW is one big division that you won't get any details on RAW, you won't get anything on RAW, but there are books on RAW, you can read about. If you are interested, you can read books. Okay, there are so many movies on RAW also. So, RAW is our premier intelligence agency of India. Okay, it collects the external intelligence. I told you, if Chinese some war is coming, these intelligence agents will tell India, okay, that China is planning things like this. Okay, and be ready. So that is how you gather intelligence. Okay. Established to satisfy the need for intelligence that was identified during the 1962 Sino-India border war and during the Indo-Pakistan war of 1965, RAW was created in 1968 to handle India's external intelligence affair. So, the main reason was the 1962 Sino-India border war. Sino-India means just the China-India war. Okay, we lost to China, unfortunately. Okay, that was the main reason to create RAW. Okay, so the two wars, that was 1962 Sino-India border war and Indo-Pakistani war of 1965. So by 1968, India had created Research and Analysis Wing, RAW, for gathering the external intelligence. This RAW, Research and Analysis Wing. Yes, currently RAW operates under the Prime Minister's office. Okay, where does RAW operate? it operates directly under the Prime Minister's office. It's not under any ministry or something. It directly is under the Prime Minister's office. Okay. So, and was intentionally established as a wing versus an agency to bypass agency reporting requirements to Parliament's Right to Information Act. Okay. We don't tell RAW as an agency, okay? They tell RAW as a wing, okay? If it's an agency, there is something called Right to Information, RTI, okay? RTI means we have some rights to know about that agency. For example, if you go to some government websites, for example, your PSC website, whatever websites, government websites, there is a portion, there will be an icon known as RTI. RTI means Right to Information. We have some right to know some things from that agency. So, you can fill the RTI form and send the information, send whatever questions you have, and they are according to law, they must reply. Okay, that is what is known as RTI, Right to Information. You can try it out. You can go to any government websites or any institution websites also usually have RTI. So, go there, click on RTI and try. Okay. So, RAW, because of RTI, they didn't consider RAW as an agency. Okay, they didn't want RTI because people will be starting to ask RAW, right, and they are obliged to answer. According to law, they should answer because the Parliament has passed the RTI, Right to Information Act. So, if it's an agency, if you are doing RTI, they are supposed to answer. Because of that, RAW was not considered as an agency. They made it as a wing because since it's a wing, they won't be having any RTI issues. Or else people will be starting asking how many agents you have, everything, how to get into RAW. People as will be asking how to get into RAW, everything they will be asking. So, because of that, RAW is established as a wing versus an agency in order to bypass agency reporting requirements to Parliament's Right to Information Act. Fine, it's only addressable to the Prime Minister of India, nobody else. Accordingly, it is hard to find detailed information about the organization because it bypasses the Right to Information Act. It is very hard to find any information on RAW. You can search for it today itself, go to Google and try searching for RAW. You won't get any websites or links too much about information like main website for RAW, nothing like that. For example, CBI, if you are typing, you will get the CBI central website, right? You can go to CBI website, you can do everything, like you can check what they are doing, what are the labs, everything you can check. But RAW, you won't get in websites. Since its inception, RAW is credited with providing intelligence support to many significant operations on foreign soil. So, after starting RAW, okay, it had provided countless intelligence to India. Okay, there were RAW agents who worked, like when you are in a RAW, when you are an agent in RAW, you won't be able to tell that I am in RAW or something. You will have so much power, but you won't be able to show it. Okay, because you are kind of like a spy. You have to go to the other country and live a normal life there, collect intelligence. Okay, all those things. So, RAW is credited with providing intelligence support to many significant operations in foreign soil. Yes. Yeah, we already learned about this. Prior to 1968, Intelligence Bureau was responsible for India's internal and external intelligence activities. However, the Bureau was not equipped to handle the demand of both missions. Okay. This became apparent in the China War. As I told you, China War was apparent, and 3 years later, Indo-Pakistan War also was formed. So, India needed a separate intelligence agency for outside issues. So, that is why RAW was formed. Yes. In 1968, okay, our Prime Minister was Indira Gandhi. Okay. So, in 1968, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi appointed R.N. Kao as the first director of RAW. First director was R.N. Kao. Okay. So, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi appointed R.N. Kao as the first director of RAW. Under the director's leadership, RAW provided intelligence support which resulted in many successful operations. Okay, lots of successful operations we have because of RAW. Okay, that is like the creation of Bangladesh, the defeat of Pakistan during Kargil War. We had a Kargil War, right? RAW was the agency which gave us intelligence from Pakistan. Okay, what are they planning? Everything. So, accordingly, we could change our tactics also. So, RAW was credited with creation of Bangladesh, defeat of Pakistan during the Kargil War, accession of Sikkim, and so many others. You can search all these files in the internet, you will get lots of RAW files. Okay. With all of these organizations' success, throughout its first decade, RAW quickly grew in both personnel and financing. So, It was a big success. RAW was a big success, and because of all these successful missions, RAW, its funding grew, okay, its personnel grew, everything grew. So today, while there is no concrete data available to the public pertaining the budget and staffing of, we don't have any data on RAW. Public will not be able to see any data on RAW. Okay, I told you there is no right to information for RAW, nothing. They only respond to the Prime Minister, nobody else. Okay, so we won't be able to get how many people are working in RAW, what is the salary, we won't be able to get anything. Okay, what is the budget of RAW, nothing. Okay, so a study was conducted by Federation of American Scientists. It suggested that the organization approximately has 8,000 to 10,000 employees and a budget estimated at 145 million US dollars. So see, that study just showed that RAW may be having 8,000 to 10,000 employees. One of the largest debates that presently surrounds RAW is a lack of transparency for their large budget. So we have no idea about the budget of RAW. It's a central agency also, and Indians' money, that money is the one we are giving it, right? So we don't know, we are not getting to know how much money is given to RAW. Okay, we have no idea, because all these RAW agents, they are usually working in other countries, so RAW usually pays for them also. Okay, there are so many activities the RAW usually pay for all those. So we don't know about the budget of RAW, but it will be very interesting to read about RAW. There are so many movies on RAW. Watch some. Okay, you'll get the information about RAW. All these spy agencies of India, India's premier spy agency. They have so many. We don't know who is a RAW agent. They won't be telling that you are a RAW agent, so they can't do anything like that. So we won't know how we will be recruited to RAW also. Maybe we have to like write the exam. Okay, UPSC exams, and RAW will have like constant. They will be constantly focusing on people they want. Okay, they will select the people they want. They have the constant focus on people they want. Maybe some of us maybe some people will be in RAW, but we won't be able to know. Okay, you have no idea about anything. There will be agents among us also, you won't be able to know. Just like that, RAW will select the people they want. Okay, you don't need to go to RAW, RAW will get to you. Yes, so we are done with one of the most interesting agency, RAW. Then now we move to CRPF. Okay, CRPF stands for Central Reserve Police Force. Central Reserve Police Force, or CRPF. So it is the premier central police force of the Union of India for internal issues. So Central Police Force is not a state organization. Okay, it is about the union, or it's a central organization, and it is for internal affairs, all the internal affairs. There will be reserve force, and when there is an internal affair, they can just send the force there. So originally constituted as a Crown Representative Police in 1933, it is one of the oldest central paramilitary forces. They were created first in almost everything was created in the British era only. So they were created in 1939 as the Crown Representative Police. Crown Representative Police, and it is one of the oldest central paramilitary forces. One of the oldest central paramilitary forces. It was formed to help the vast majority of native states to preserve law and order as a part of imperial policy. So the main thing was like, for example, take a state. For example, there is Maharashtra. There is some riots or communal riots in Maharashtra. Okay, there is so much public involved. Everything is involved, and the Maharashtra police forces are not enough to handle this. So we have a reserve police force, Central Reserve Police Force. Central can send their force. Okay, Central can send CRPF there. Okay, Central Reserve Police Force, and they can help the state police maintain the law and order. Okay, that is so. Central Police Force is mainly for internal issues. It was formed to help the vast majority of native states to preserve its law. Yes, these are the Central Reserve Police Force. You can see them when there is like communal riots and all. Usually Central Police Force, CRPF people come there. Yes, after independence, the force was renamed as Central Reserve Police Force. So what was the name before independence? They were named as Crown Representative Police. Crown Representative Police, and after independence, they were renamed as Central Reserve Police Force by Act of Parliament on December 28, 1949. 1949, December 28, they were renamed to Central Reserve Police Force or CRPF. So, CRPF is an armed force of the Union. It is an armed force, armed police force of the Union of India. Okay, not of any states. It is an armed police force of the Union of India. During the 1950s, the performance of CRPF detachments, okay, it means in 1915 there were like performance of CRPF detachments in Bhuj, then Patiala, East Punjab was appreciated by all countries. For example, all these are border states. Okay, all these are border states. So there were so many border issues. Okay, because India was divided into two, Pakistan and India. So all these states were border states. There were so many border issues, there were infiltrations. Okay, so police alone, the state police alone could not handle all those. So this CRPS was deployed there. So there it was appreciated by all quarters. Their work was appreciated by all quarters. The force played a significant role during the amalgamation of princely states in the Indian Union. Okay. So after India got independence, so we formed the Indian Union, right? Indian Constitution, everything, India as a republic. So there were still some places like Junagadh. Junagadh is a place in Gujarat. There were some places that were still ruled by kings. Okay, they wanted princes, like princely. They were known as princely states because before independence, there were already all these princes and all these kings and all ruling parts of India. So after independence also, some state like Junagadh is an example. There was Junagadh Fort and Junagadh Prince. So that's a place in Gujarat. So they wanted to keep up their own kingdom, okay, under the king only. So, but it was not possible. India was established as one, and India had its own constitution. Okay, everything was like equal for the entire nation. So, for that, amalgamation means to merge with the Indian constitution. CRPF was also deployed there to control the riots over there. Yes, during the Chinese aggression of 1962, the force once assisted the Indian army in Arunachal Pradesh. So, this force also assisted the Indian army because Chinese war 1962, that was like the war which we lost. We told about IB and all, we couldn't gather so much information, so that we lost that war. But still, CRPF people helped the army. Okay, they were deployed with the Indian army to fight those wars. Okay, in 1965 and 1971, Indo-Pak wars also were fought shoulder to shoulder with the Indian army both on western and eastern sides. So 1965 and 1970, India was attacked mostly by the Chinese side and Pakistan side also. Okay, so CRPF fought shoulder to shoulder with the Indian army in those wars. CRPF personnel were sent to Haiti, Namibia, Somalia, Maldives to deal with law and order situation there as a part of UN peacekeeping force. So everybody knows about the United Nations organization, right? United Nations organization. United Nations organization is it's a union of so many different nations. Okay, there are member countries. So many. India is a part of United Nations. So many member countries. So these member countries must help each other. So if there is any communal right, okay, if there is any communal right or some issues or some member countries need some help. So all the other member countries must help. So from India, if there were personal we required more persons or personals, then CRPS was sent. They were sent as a US peacekeeping force. US peacekeeping force means to keep the peace of that place. Okay, US peacekeeping force. We have a US peacekeeping force that is mainly for all these riots and communal issues everywhere and around the world. So these member states will give the personnel, so give the man force. So CRPF was sent by India. From India, CRPF was sent to so many places like Haiti, Namibia, Somalia, Maldives, so many places. Okay, as the US peacekeeping force, as a part of US peacekeeping force. So after Kargil war, a high-level committee was constituted by the government of India, which decided to adopt more forces at borders. So after independence, we had so many wars. Okay, we were war with China, then Pakistan. Okay, border was again with Pakistan. We had so many wars. Okay, so only CRPF, just like IB, only CRPF was present. So India thought that we should have more organizations for all these border states and all. Okay, border places we should have more organized, because if there is some communal rights going inside the country, and CRPF is deployed there, we don't have enough personnel to deploy in the borders also if some war breaks out. So we thought that Indian people, like Indian government, thought that we should need some other organizations which can help the borders of the country. Okay, so that is when we formed for Indo-Pakistan border and Indo-Bangladesh border was given to BSF. India-Pakistan border and India-Bangladesh border, for them that was given to Border Security Force or BSF. Okay, India and Myanmar's border, there is India and Myanmar, that border was given to Assam Rifles. Okay, then there is India and Nepal border, and that borders was given to SSB. Okay, that border was given to SSB. And Indo-Chinese border, India and China border, that was given to ITBP. All these are border organizations. Okay, all these are border security forces. So the Indo-Pakistani border and Indo-Bangladesh, Indo-Pakistan, Indo-Bangladesh border was given to Border Security Force or BSF. Okay, Indo-Myanmar border was given to a security force known as Assam Rifles. Okay, then Indo-Nepal border was given to SSB, and Indo-Chinese border was given to ITBP. Okay, yes. So that's all about. The CRPF. So they are a Central Reserve Police Force of the Union of India. Okay, they are deployed in all the states when there is a need. Okay, they were known as Crown Representative Police in 1931, establishment 1931 by British Crown Representative Police. Then after the independence in 1949, December 28, they were renamed as Central Reserve Police Force or CRPF. Then they had they had shown so many valor in so many places like detachment of Bhuj, Patiala, East Punjab, all these border states. They were played a big role when the princely states were amalgamated to Indian nation. Also during Indian-Chinese wars and Indo-Pak wars, they fought shoulder to shoulder with the Indian army. They were also sent to other nations for peacekeeping as a part of UN peacekeeping, United Nations peacekeeping force. Okay. After the Kargil war, India thought that we need to secure our borders. Okay. After the Kargil war, India thought that we need to secure our border more. Okay. CRBS were not enough. Every time they had to deploy them. Okay. That is not enough. So only for borders, there were forces formed. That was 4 of them. So for India and Pakistan and India and Bangladesh border, we have the BSF or the Border Security Force. Okay. Then in India and Myanmar border was given to the Assam Rifles. India and Nepal border was given to SSB, and India and Chinese border was given to ITBP. Okay. Now we are done with that. Then we will go with BSF or Border Security Force, Indian Pakistan border, India and Bangladesh border. So Border Security Force is one of India's 4 border patrol forces and one of 7 central police forces under the control of Ministry of Home Affairs. So all this comes under Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, because Ministry of Home Affairs means that is a ministry that maintains all the affairs in homeland. Okay, that is India. What all affairs are there, that is taken over by Ministry of Home Affairs. So BSF is a part of the 4 forces. I told you what are the 4 forces, 4 border forces. These are the 4 border forces. Okay, don't forget. Indo-Pakistan, Indo-Bangladesh, we have BSS. India and Myanmar border, we have Assam Rifles. India and Nepal border, we have SSB. India and Chinese border, we have ITBP. So Border Security Force is one of India's 4 border forces. Okay, it is the world's largest border guarding force. Okay, world's largest border guarding force. So is tasked with protecting the Indo-Pakistan and Indo-Bangladesh borders. Okay, world's largest border guarding force, task is their place to protect is Indo-Pakistan border and Indo-Bangladesh border. They also indulge in counter-insurgency and counter-terrorism, disaster management, domestic and international peacekeeping. Okay, not just border, they also like counter-terrorism activities they do. Okay, if there is counter-insurgency, if there is any communal rights, all those they go there also. Then disaster management, if some disaster happens and the states or union needs some aid, they will be deployed there also. Okay, and also for UN peacekeeping force, as a part of UN peacekeeping force also they are sent. This is the border security force. They have secured the border. Okay. Yes. BSF was created on December 1st, 1965 as a specialized force with the sole responsibility of guarding India's borders. Okay. So BSF was created in December 1st, 1965 as a specialized force with the sole responsibility of guarding India's borders. Clear with that, right? Okay. The 1965 Indo-Pakistan War, initiated by Pakistani attacks on Indian borders outposts, revealed significant structural problem with India's border protection. So, the main reason was 1965 there was a war between India and Pakistan. Okay, and the Pakistani troops came into Indian border. They crossed the border. They attacked the Indian outpost. That means there was a structural flaw. Then we realized that they came into Indian border, they crossed the Indian border and they attacked the Indian posts also. That means we had there's a big intelligence policy in the borders. We did not have persons in the borders to secure the borders. That just showed that Indian borders were not secure. So that is the main reason BSF was created. Okay, they have secured the borders now. Prior to the creation of BSF, Indo-Pakistan border was guarded by the state police forces from 1947 to 1965. So prior to BSF, the borders were handled by state police only. For example, if Gujarat is having some borders with Pakistan or some other side, then that border was just protected by the state police. Okay, it is guarded by the state police only, Gujarat police only. And if there is any issues, then who will come? CRPF people used to come with the state police. Okay, so that was not enough. So we needed some permanent post for these borders. So we introduced or we found BSF. Okay. On April 9, 1965, the 1st Infantry Brigade of Pakistan Army, coast in the Rann of Kutch, guarded by the State of Reserve Police in Gujarat, attacked and captured Sardar Post. Okay, so this is what happened in Pakistan. I told you, right? Pakistan people crossed the border. So they crossed the border and they attacked. They crossed the border in the Rann of Kutch. Okay, Rann of Kutch is a place in Gujarat that was guarded by Gujarat police only. Not any CRPF was also not there. So they were guarded by Gujarat police only. So Pakistan came into our borders. They attacked and captured Sardar Post. There were so many posts. They attacked and captured all these posts. Okay, that was very big. This is a fallacy for our borders. Okay, that is why Central Reserve Police and the Indian Army troops are moved into the area to aid Gujarat Police. So Gujarat Police was not enough to stop this Pakistani army. So after the infiltration, what happened? The army came in. Then CRPF also came in. Okay. So that is when India decided that we should have somebody to always protect the borders. So India-Pakistani borders, for India-Pakistani borders, BSF was formed, and the other borders you know, right? The other three you know, right? Yeah. So India here, this is India. You can see Gujarat, Rajasthan, Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir. All these states share border with Pakistan. Okay, this is our borders. All these borders, they share our borders with Pakistan, and these places are all in Gujarat, and all these places are desert also. So how much can state police patrol the borders? Okay, and whenever there's an only attack, only the army and this CRPF used to come. So we need some permanent organization to protect the borders. That is why BSF was introduced. For India, from here to the entire India-Pakistan border is protected by the Border Security Force. Okay, BSF. Just like that, we have borders on the other states, other sides also. You know which all forces protect that? Okay, ITBP and I told you, right? Assam Rifles. Yes, the Emergency Committee Cabinet under the leadership of Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri met on April 20, 1965 to discuss the protection in borders. So, you know, attack already happened. Pakistan already infiltrated Rann of Kutch. Okay, they captured our post. Then after that, Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, they met on April 20, 1965 to discuss we should increase our border protection. Okay, to discuss that border protection should be increased at utmost urgency. So BSF was born by combining 25 border battalions of the state police forces. So the first BSF was formed by combining 25 battalions of state police forces. So they took 25 battalions from the state forces, they combined it together and they formed BSF, okay, just for the borders. The force first came to its real test in 1975 when it served as the first line of defense against Pakistani invaders. So its first test after the first war was gone, 1965 war was done, okay, and after that 1971 we had another war. So that was we won the war, and that was a time when BSF was tested. Firstly they were tested for that because they were the first line of defense for India. You can see they were the first line of defense. Army will be a state police and all will be here only. Army won't be deployed all the time. We can't deploy the army everywhere all the time, okay, we can't send army to the borders all the time. So first line of defense when Pakistan enters, that is Border Security Force or BSF, okay. BSF is the first line of defense for borders in India. They are the first line of defense for us. Think of people who are protecting us every time. So that is all about BSF. We have one more organization, that is SPG, that we will discuss later. So about BSF, I'll just brief you once more. It was a central police force, okay, under the Ministry of Home Affairs. So it's the world's largest border guarding force. Task was mainly to protect India-Pakistan border and India-Bangladesh border, okay. Not just protecting borders, also they can be sent for counter-terrorism. Then they also can be sent a part of US peacekeeping force. So yeah, we'll tell about the 1965. So still 1965, after the independence till 1965, the borders were secured by state police only. If one state had the border, it was secured by the state police only. And what happened in 1965? First 51st Infantry Brigade of Pakistan Army. 51st Infantry Brigade of Pakistan Army, they infiltrated into India. They passed our borders in Rann of Kutch, Gujarat. They passed our borders, they attacked our post, okay. They captured our post also. There are so many posts, Sardar post, Chara post. So they captured all this post. After that only Indian Army and CRPF came to the place. First line of defense was always the state police, okay. Then only we realized that borders have to be more secure. Then our Honorable Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri had a meeting on 20th April 1965 and they formed this Border Security Force, okay, BSF. And it was formed by combining, first BSF was formed by combining 25 battalions of the state police only, okay, and their first real test came in 1971, there was another war with Pakistan, okay, and they were the first line of defense for India in the borders. Thank you. So we are done with almost all the agencies, okay, we have just one agency remaining, we will continue it tomorrow. So thank you.